everyone, it's Kathleen. Welcome to my channel, The Quilted Story. Today's program is going to be all about my quilting and my cross-stitch projects. My last week's program that I did, I think it was last Monday that it was released, was all about my Christmas in July machine embroidery projects, and it included a bunch of different ornaments and different projects that I've made using my embroidery machine. So if you haven't seen that video, please feel free to check it out, and because it is all about machine embroidery, but this program is going to be just about my quilting and my cross-stitch projects. So let's get started. The first thing I want to talk to you about are all the questions that I've been getting over the last couple of weeks on my channel. People like to ask questions regarding maybe one of the videos or just something that's in the video. Maybe they want to know about a product or just a general question about sewing, quilting, cross-stitch, or machine embroidery. So I like to answer them here. Even though I answer them privately, I do like to answer them here also in case somebody else is interested in the answer to those questions. So let's get started with those questions first. The first item, or the first question, is from a lady named Kay, and Kay wanted to know, where do I get my labels? And my labels are on all of my products that I make and sell in my Etsy shop. They're a very simple label. I make them myself. The design itself was made by my daughter, Nicole, and I just print them out on printed treasures. I print them out on, it's a printable fabric that you feed into your inkjet printer, and it is readily available. You can get that at like Hobby Lobby or JoAnn's. And then I just cut them out, and I usually do put a fusible web on the back side because I like to fuse them in place first to hold them, and then I stitch them on to make them permanent. So they're basic labels. They just say Maddie and me, and that one is for all of my Etsy shop items. I do have labels that say The Quilted Story, because if I make something that is a quilted item, or if it's one of those type of projects, I'll use The Quilted Story because I do own that domain. So those are very simple labels. Everybody can do them if you have a printer and you have that printable inkjet fabric that is, I do believe it is made by, is it Clover? I'm trying to think who it's made by. I'll link that down below because it's easily accessible at both JoAnn's and Hobby Lobby. So that's a very simple question. The next one is from Lindsay, and Lindsay asked me if I teach any classes online. And Lindsay, I am so sorry, but I do not teach classes, quilting classes or machine embroidery classes online. I am, believe it or not, very tech savvy illiterate. I can't seem to understand the concept of Zoom. I don't know why, but I'm sure that I would have to use a Zoom-like setting platform in order to teach classes online. If I could figure it out, I probably would do that. But as of right now, I do not teach classes online. I do, however, believe that there is something to be said about hands-on learning in a classroom. And I really believe that because I can see in my students' eyes when I am sitting across from them or right next to them that they are having a light bulb moment, meaning that they are really understanding and comprehending what I am trying to teach them. And you cannot always achieve that in an online setting. That's just my personal opinion. I know a lot of people learn things, both from YouTube and online classes, but I just feel like I get that connection inside the classroom. And so I have never really gone into the whole online teaching of classes. But that's just me. There are a lot of people that do it, and they do it very successfully. So, but that's, as of right now, I am not teaching online classes. So I'm really sorry, Lindsay. The next one is from Isabel, and she wanted to know if my new patchwork project, quilted patchwork project bag would fit inside my stitchy stuff bag. That she had bought one previously, and she really liked my new quilted patchwork project bag and wanted to know if they would fit inside. I'm really sorry, but no, it won't, because that quilted patchwork project bag is very large. It is approximately 13.5 inches tall, and it is 16 inches wide. And that, even though that stitchy stuff bag is very large, it is the new design of the patchwork project bag is too tall, and once those bags are filled, it changes the whole dynamic. So I'm really sorry, but no, those do not fit in there, but they do fit most project bags that the ladies are making today, because that's what I used to make before I started making the patchwork, the quilted patchwork project bags. So, but all of my project folders and project keepers and the floss bobbin keepers and the spool cases, those will fit inside that large stitchy stuff bag. So keep that in mind if you are looking in my Etsy shop and any of my items that I sell for cross stitchers. Now the next one is from Terry. It's a comment, and she says, I would have loved to be one of your students. Isn't that the sweetest comment? Thank you so much, Terry. I would have loved to have you in a class of mine. I'm sure that you would have enjoyed it, and I'm hoping that my videos might inspire you to either seek out a teacher in your area, or just maybe get on YouTube and see what you can learn there, or maybe pick up an idea or two from me on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much, Terry. I really appreciate your positive comments. Now I have another question from Rosemary. It's about one of my programs that I did back last year, and it was all about salvages and what to do with your salvages, making projects with them. And one of the projects I made was a composition notebook. And that composition notebook, I have it here with me because I keep all my notes in it. This is the one she's talking about. I made a cover for my composition notebook out of salvages that I cut off of my fabric over the years. So if you haven't watched that video, be sure to check that one out. It's one of the very first videos. I think it's like video 3 or 4 or something like that. It's called It's All About Salvages. She wanted to know if I have a pattern that I use to make that composition notebook cover. And I'm really sorry to say, but no, I don't have a pattern. It's something that I wrote up for myself. But basically you are just making a panel of fabric for your the size that you need to cover your composition notebook, and then you cut it down to fit the composition notebook that you're using. All composition notebooks are slightly different in size, so you just need to, just adjust it. There are some tutorials on YouTube that show people making covers for their composition notebook. However, they're usually just like using plain fabric or, stabilized fabric. And basically it's the same concept. You're just making your panel of fabric with your salvages first, and then you're gonna apply that to making a composition notebook cover with it. So basically, it's easily achieved, and you'll be able to access some videos on YouTube regarding making a composition notebook cover. So check that out on YouTube. Just do a search in the YouTube search button up at the top. Okay, the next one is from Barbie, and she said she watched my last video that was all about my Christmas ornaments made with my my embroidery machine. And she said she loved all of my ornaments, and she was trying to access my website, The Quilted Story, and she couldn't find it. Well, Barbie, I'm really sorry. This just recently happened. My website, The Quilted Story, is undergoing construction of sorts. The actual, something about, my computer engineer son tells me that it has something to do with the system, or the format it's on is no longer being supported. So I need to update onto a different format. It sounds complicated to me. So if even though I have had that blog and that website for 15 years plus, I felt like not very many people were accessing it. Now, I could be wrong. You guys out there, tell me, would you love to have all of my YouTube content correspond with my website? I've never really had anybody tell me that they found it helpful or useful, or either way. So if I could get some input, maybe I'll make a decision soon to upgrade that so that I can get that live again. I still own the domain, The Quilted Story, and I will always own the domain of thequiltedstory.com, .org, and .net. So, but whether or not it has a live blog connected to it, at this point, the answer is no. So I'm hoping to remedy that, because I have enjoyed the last 15 years of blogging and on that website, and also keeping all of my pictures up to date and all of my photo galleries and all of that stuff that goes along with it. There were tutorials on there and lots of stories and years of documentation in my quilting and embroidery life. So we'll see how it goes over the next couple of months, and I will keep you guys informed here if it is live once again. So, but in the meantime, you can go over to my Instagram page. I'll link that all down below. I do keep that very active, and I let everybody know and show pictures, and I usually have a dialogue of what or how I did something. And if I don't, I talk about it here on my YouTube channel. But I like to keep up to date what I'm working on a regular basis, continually. So check that out, and that is under Maddie and Me Too. So I will definitely link that so that you can just click the link and go right over there, and then just subscribe to my page, and then that way you'll always know when I have a new or updated post that I have done. And I also like to post there if I am dropping a bunch of project folders and cross stitch organizers in my Etsy shop. So check out that page on Instagram, and then that way you can stay ahead of the game also. And I'll also put on there, if I do activate my website once again, I will put it there on my Instagram page. So on to the next the next comment was from a lady named Connie, and she watched my videos. I have 2 consecutive videos, part 1 and part 2, about my studio tour, and she just loved it, and she made some really sweet comments about how nice my studio was, and she loved my space. So if you haven't had a chance to view those videos that are on my YouTube channel here, they're one of the, I think they're like number 2 and 3 or something like that. It's but watch them in chronological order because it makes a lot more sense. And it's all about how I have my studio set up and different products that I use, and why I have it organized the way I do. And if you have any questions regarding that studio tour, feel free to ask me, and I'll get right back to you, and I'll talk about it here on my next YouTube video. So thank you so much, Connie. The next, I guess that's it. I guess that's all the questions and comments that I got. Next thing I want to do is I definitely want to take the time to give my friend Lindsay Zachman a shout out, because she gave me just the sweetest shout out a couple videos ago that she did. She has her own Flosstube channel. It's called Lindsay Zachman. I will link it down below so you can go right to it. She is a mother and daughter duo with her young daughter Delaney. They are just the sweetest two little people. I just love these two. They show their cross-stitch projects, and Lindsay is getting into quilting, and she is doing a great job. I'm so proud of her because I know that it's a big step for her. We have been friends for years. We used to work together on EtsyShop design firm. We were embroidery testers, so I know Lindsay from back when she was in Texas, and now she's in Alabama. She is the sweetest gal you probably will ever watch on YouTube. So check her and her daughter out, and they're under Lindsay Zachman. I do believe she has like 5 videos now, and she shows her projects and her progression, and of course her haul and all the things that she's working on, and she even talks about some of her quilting projects too. So if you're looking for somebody new to watch on YouTube or about quilting projects, check Lindsay Zachman out, and I'll link her down below. Thank you so much, Lindsay and Delaney, for the wonderful shout out. I really appreciate it. Now, the next thing I want to talk to you about before we go into the quilting and the cross-stitch projects, let me get comfortable. If we're already at 16 minutes, so this is going to be a long one, guys, so buckle in. The first thing I want to talk to you about is my vintage finds. I always like to show something that I have found in the vintage world. I love to decorate my studio with vintage items. I like to decorate my home with vintage items, and I like to even use them in my cross-stitch finishes and my quilting finishes. So the 2 things that I found are these. One of them is this little glass milk bottle. It's a vintage glass milk bottle. It says 5 cents on it, and it says store bottle on it. And it used to have like a seal on top, and milk products came in it. I got this from my mother-in-law passed away last summer, and when we were cleaning out her house, my husband had found it, and he brought it to me, and he said, "Kath, I think you need this." And he was right. So I grabbed that. And then she also had this little jar, and it's a sour cream jar. It says sour cream on the back side, and on the front it says 3 cents. And it's a really nice substantial glass jar. And as you can see, I keep my Clover red clippies in it. And I keep these next to my machine because I use the Clover red clippies. Let me show you some. For just about everything. I use them in place of pins. They're made by Clover. These are the red ones. These are the ones that most people are familiar with. But I love these little things, and I like to keep them there because A, I can see them through the jar, and then I just pour them out on my table, and then when I use them, I keep the empty jar next to my machine, and as I take them off my item that I'm sewing on, I will place them in the jar, and then I start all over again. But I like to use those red clippies in place of straight pins when I'm sewing to hold items, especially if I'm sewing on vinyl. Vinyl, you do not want to pin or pierce a pin through vinyl because it will leave a permanent hole. And this way, if you use one of these red clippies, it holds it without leaving a permanent mark or a permanent hole. So check out those little red clippies. You can get them from Fat Quarter Shop. You can get them from Hobby Lobby. You can get them from JoAnn's. And I do believe they've even sell them on Amazon. So check those out. You'll be glad that you do. I have them by my embroidery machine. I have them because I use them to hold stabilizer onto my frames when I'm using my embroidery machine. And I use them by my sewing machine, and I use them with my cross stitch. And I'll show you how I use them with my cross stitch a little bit later on. Now the other item is a quilty item that I use that is my favorite tool of the trade. I'm going to go into tools of the trade, and the first one is about quilting. Well, actually, the little red clips were also one of my favorite tools of the trade in quilting, is those little red clover clips. Now the other thing is a simple item, and it's a sticky roller. And this is probably, I have one on my ironing station by my sewing machine. I have one on my working cutting table, and I also have one next to my embroidery machine, because whenever there is any need to remove little threads, even from my cutting mat, I will use this sticky roller. So I like to have it everywhere. And then also, I like to have it nearby. So if I am leaving the studio and I'm going to go do an errand or whatnot, I'm going out in public, I will use this sticky roller to get off all the loose threads that are all over my shirt or my pants or whatever, because I look like a hot mess in public if I don't do that really quick before I get in the car. My daughter used to tell people, "Oh my gosh, Mom, you have threads all over you," when I would pick her up from school, you know, the little Catholic school. She would just be totally embarrassed that her mother would show up with threads all over her. So I got to using this sticky roller. I even kept one in my car there for a while. So that is like, it's inexpensive. You can buy them at, you know, any department store or, you know, discount store. I think you can even get them at Dollar Tree, but Target, you know, I get mine at Costco. I get like I think it's like a 6-pack or something, because apparently I use a lot of it. So I like to use it. Another thing too that I like to use it on is if I am stitching on black cross stitch fabric, you know, sometimes you get like, it leaves like lint. You see lint on black, and black cross stitch fabric, black fabric, and all that. This is great to have. This is your new best friend. So just get a couple of these, put them in your studio, put it next to your cross stitch, put it next to your quilting, put it next to your sewing machine, because I'm telling you, you will use this every single day. I do. So those are my favorite quilting and sewing tools of the trade. The next tool of the trade that I want to talk to you about is about my cross stitch tool of the trade. And that is this little wooden hoop. They're made in Germany. I have them in multiple sizes. I bought my hoops back about 25 or 30 years ago, because I used to cross stitch a long time ago. And then I gave it up for a long time because I was having visual issues, but I learned how to deal with that. And I'm so glad I kept all my really good wooden hoops from Germany, because they are just really, really nice. I just like the way they hold the tension taut or loose if I want it to be that way. If I just want it to be in the hoop, but have the fabric a little bit looser so I can stitch on top. But I do like these little frames. I have, like I said, I have them in all kinds of sizes. I think the smallest one is 3 inches, and it goes all the way up to 12 inches, I think. And I just keep them all in the drawer next to my stitchy chair, and then that way I just can pull out whatever one I need depending on what project I'm working on. Now with this hoop, if I have excess fabric coming off the hoop, I like to roll it back towards the hoop and then clip it on with these larger green clover clips, and then I hold it on. It doesn't damage your cross stitch fabric or whatever, but it keeps all the excess of your fabric. Say you have a large piece of fabric and you like using a smaller hoop, or even if you're using a larger hoop. I'm doing that one Halloween Village project, and that fabric is massive. So I will roll the fabric towards my hoop and then clip it. I'll clip it in several spots. I usually have like about 4 or 5 of these on next to my stitchy, in my in the drawer with the hoops. I keep them with the hoops, and then that way, if I need to hold excess cross stitch fabric out of the way onto my hoop, this keeps it held in place. So check those out. Those are the little green ones. They're larger. Here, let me show you the difference in size. Here's the red one, and then here's the green one. And as you can see, you know, they're like more than twice the size, and they're a little bit wider. And a lot of people don't know this, but there's actual measurements on the back side of these clippies. So I probably own hundreds of these red ones because, like I said, I have them everywhere. And they do, after time, I find that, you know, from using them over and over and over and over and over, depending on, of course, how you're using them, they will crack. And so you have to, you know, just, you know, throw that one away. And that's why I'm always picking up another 50 pack or whatever, you know. So it's always on my Christmas list, if you know what I mean. So those are all my favorite tools of the trade in both quilting and cross stitch. So I'll try to link some places down below in the show notes where you can find those kind of items. Now that we've done all the vintage finds and all of my tools of the trade, let's move on to my quilty projects. Let's talk about all the things that I've done recently in quilting. Now, as everybody knows, I am a quilt pattern designer for machine paper piecing patterns, and they're all in my Etsy shop. I think I have hundreds of these patterns that I've written over the years, but as of right now, I'm slowly uploading them into my Etsy shop, and I think I have like about 46 of them right now active. So check them out. But I wanted to show you my latest 3, and they're all about Christmas trees. You're gonna love these. They're great for your upcoming holiday projects. The first one is called, let's try to do this. The first pattern is called, let me get my notes. Okay, the first one's called Christmas Pines in the Woods. And let me see if I can, yeah, okay. Now, these are all individual blocks, as you can see. I made these particular blocks with Lella Boutique's Christmas Eve line and her Christmas morning line. I own both lines. I bought the half yard bundles, and I love it because you can mix them together. They go together fabulously. And this is one of her background. This one's the background fabric from her Christmas Eve line, which is the line from this year. It is still active. You should be able to find that fabric. I bought all of my Christmas line from Lella Boutique, from Honey Quilt, and I'll link her shop down below. I love her shop. She had all of the Lella Boutiques. But this is my first one, and it is called Christmas Pines in the Woods. Be sure to pay attention when you look at the listings because they come in different sizing. Now, all of my PDFs have corresponding recipe cards, which tells you what size to cut your fabric for each section of the paper piece pattern. So it helps you, for those people who don't like doing the math. I love doing the math. So I did that all for you, so you're not guessing whether or not your fabric is large enough to cover the section that you're trying to correspond with on the paper piece pattern. Each pattern will come with at least 3 sizes, including the fabric recipe cards. And they do, so each group will include 3 different sizes. You can print as many as you want or as few as you want. You can combine them with other blocks that you have made. It's just, I love to paper piece, and I know there's a lot of ladies and men too. They love to paper piece because it's precision in piecing, and you always get that perfect size block. So check this one out. Once again, this one's called Christmas Pines in the Woods. And that's just some sample blocks that I made using that, but I wanted to show you what I made with my sample blocks. I love this. I made one of my really large quilted project bags. I used 3 of the blocks, 2 different sizes. I did two of them all green, and then one of them in all reds. And I used that background fabric again from the Christmas Eve fabric line, but from Lala Batik, and she is a designer from Moda. Now, this particular project bag is my new design, and it has a heavy duty zipper, and the zipper has been bound, as you can see, okay? And inside it is completely finished. It's all quilted back on the back side and on the front. It's all quilted. And it's a heavy duty zipper, and I always include the fabric pull that matches on the zipper. And I do, like I said, I do bind both the zipper placket and I bind the actual outside edge. This is my newest design. And the reason why I changed it is because I wanted the binding to be a different color. And so I decided to not self-bind these new ones. I decided to do the binding like on a normal quilt. But these are very heavy duty. As you can see, they do stand up alone. They're large. They're 13.5 inches tall, which is this way, and the width is about 16.5 inches wide. They do hold a lot, and I'm going to show you some of the ways I organize mine so you can see what all you could get inside there. So this is what I made with my Christmas Pines in the Woods blocks. So this is just one thing. There's lots of things. You can make a pillow, you could make table runners, you could make placemats, a table mat, a wall hanging. There are just so many things that you can do with these paper piece patterns. So be sure to check those out. Now that's just the first one. The next one that I have is, the next one is called, let's see here. Gotta get my notes again. The next one is called Scrappy Pines. And Scrappy Pines it's a little bit different pattern. Let me show you. Try to straighten it out here. This one's a little bit different. It's a little bit simpler. That first one is not a beginner paper piecing pattern, but this one is very basic. It's all one piece, as far as there's not sections that you then have to sew together after you paper piece them. This one is called Scrappy Pines. Scrappy Pines. And what I did with that one, I think I am going to make a project bag out of my panel, but what I did was I went ahead and I did a bunch of different sizes, and I made my panel front so I can decide what I'm going to do with it. I just love that I combined the different sizes to make this panel, and I could make it into a placemat, a wall hanging, part of a table runner. I could add another one for the other end for a table runner, or I could use it for the front panel of a new project bag like I just showed you on the other one. So that one is called Scrappy Pines. It's a very simple block. I love these little skinny tree trunks. They're tall and they're very, very cute. So check those out in my Etsy shop. So that's the second one. Now the third one is called Candy Cane Lane. Oh, and the fabrics that I used for the second pattern was the same Christmas Morning and Christmas Eve by Lala Batik for Moda. So if you're looking for that particular fabric line. Now, the next one is called Candy Cane Lane, and these are striped trees. As you can see, let me get it a little bit closer. You can see that I used a striped fabric for the tree trunk, and that's why they're called Candy Cane Lane. And then they have stripes inside, and I used the grays and the reds from the same Christmas Morning fabric line by Lala Batik and the Christmas Eve fabric line by Lala Batik for Moda. It's the same line, but I just pulled out her grays and her reds so that I could get this different look. But this is, it's a different pattern, and it's called Candy Cane Lane. Now, I haven't decided what I'm going to make with all my little blocks, but this comes in a lot of different sizes. It comes in a lot of different widths and a lot of different heights. So be sure to check out the listing to tell you, it'll tell you in each listing what sizes are going to come in the listing that you're purchasing. And the Scrappy Pines is exactly the same way as is Christmas Pines in the Woods. There are several groupings for, and they're grouped in different listings, and it's all done by size. So check those out, and be sure to tag me if you make something with any of my PDF patterns from my Etsy shop for paper piecing. Be sure to tag me on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, so that I can see what everybody's working on and what color combinations that they're using for their trees and their upcoming Christmas projects. I love seeing everybody's work, so please feel free to share that. Okay, so that is all of those. Those are all my new pattern releases in my Etsy shop, and that's at maddieandme2.etsy.com. I'll link that down below. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. And like I said, the links will all be down below, so you won't have any problem accessing that. Now let's move on to some other things that I've made with my quilting projects. And it kind of has to do with my, excuse me, my quilting projects and my cross stitch projects. So I'm going to put that in the middle here as we transition to the cross stitch projects. This one is my Halloween glow in the dark, all the black fabrics, these ones here with the skulls and stuff on it, and the fabric in the back glows in the dark. I know, it's mind-blowing. I love this fabric line, and I love this stripe for the binding and for the zipper placket. This is my new patchwork. It's called Quilted Patchwork Project Bag. And it's made the same way with the heavy duty zipper. As you can see, I have a lot of goodies in there. Heavy duty zipper, and it's quilted on the front and it's quilted on the back. And it's very large. It's the same 13.5 inches tall by 16.5 inches wide. Same thing with the zipper pull on it. And inside my bag, what I have are my new glow in the dark Halloween. This is the Floss Bobbin Keeper. As you can see, I haven't filled it. I just got these finished, so I haven't filled mine. This is the inside. It holds 30 or more floss bobbins for your DMC floss if you bobbinate your floss. And it snaps shut across the top, and it holds all your floss in place. And if you want to set it on the table, it will stand up alone like a book. So then you can view all of your flosses at a glance. So I keep I'm going to put all my Halloween project floss in here. And then I made a matching Halloween glow in the dark project keeper. Or actually, this is the Project Notions folder. And this one, when you open it up, it has a zipper pocket on this side with a second liner pocket. So it has one in the front and then one in the back. And then on the other side, it's the exact same. I used a bright orange for the zipper plackets, white zippers, white snaps. This is the other zipper side. And then in the middle, it has this floss booklet, and you can, with a felt needle parker up here, and then you can keep your loose threads in here, and that snaps shut to keep it secure when you're traveling. And then the whole booklet folder snaps shut along the side, just like my Floss Bobbin Keeper, and it keeps everything secure. This booklet will stand alone, just like a book, like on your bookshelf. So I like to organize my stuff because I do bobbinate my floss, so I have cordon in my cross stitch stuff, that's how I organize my stuff. I always have one of these, the regular Project Notions folder with a matching floss bobbin keeper. And now I'm going to start keeping them all in my quilted patchwork project bag that matches. I just love this patchwork. Isn't it great? I know, toot my own horn, right? But check them out. And I always post new ones that I'm doing on my Instagram, so be sure to follow me there. But that's my newest item. Just love it. It's got that stripe binding. It just really pops. Now the other one that I'm going to show you, because and then I'll go into my cross stitch stuff. I've kitted up this project that I have in it, and it's my Minty Snowman one. It's a patchwork bag, Minty Snowman. It's all the snowman in the back. It's all quilted just like the other bags. It's the same size, 13.5 inches tall by about 16.5 inches wide, with the heavy duty zipper and the zipper placket and the binding and the matching fabric pull. And inside there I have, let me show you what I've kitted up. This is actually going to be part of my haul too, so I'll just go ahead and show it to you now. I have kitted up Primrose Cottage's pattern called Welcome to the North Pole. There is this big, huge following. Everybody's doing it. I'm a little late to the party, but that's okay. You know, I got it all kitted up because I'm using it as a reward as I finish other things that are on my list. So, but Primrose Cottage stitches, and it's called Welcome to the North Pole. I just love this pattern. It's so cute. I'm sure you guys have seen it. I just can't get enough. Now I'm going to do the whole thing, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick out certain little pieces of it and maybe make an ornament or something with it. What do you guys think? That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Now, I've been back and forth what fabric I was going to use. Been talking to my sister Lisa. Sometimes she's a lot of help. Sometimes she's more of a hinder. You know what I mean? But we both agreed that I should use Vintage Country Mocha. So that's what I'm using. And here's my fabric. I've already got it serged. And I cut it so that the design is going more like this way instead of this way. You'll know what I'm talking about if you've ever used Vintage Country Mocha. Okay, it's modeled. Got a full piece here. And one of the ladies from Linen and Scraps, she said to always roll your fabric. So I'm trying to get used to doing that, because she says it'll permanently leave creases and could damage your cross stitch fabric. So I've been trying to roll it and then put it in my bag. And I think Kimberly from Fat Quarter Shop, I think she does that too. So learn from I would say elders, but I'm older than Kimberly, so I can't really say that. I guess you should say learn from people who know more than you. That's what you should do. So anyway, I'm getting that kitted up, and I made the project bag, but I also made a matching Project Notions folder and a matching floss bobbin keeper. Now, I've already bobbinated my floss. I've got my floss in there. This is all the DMC that I'm going to be using. Okay, and I got it in that really cute Minty Snowman fabric. And then in my Project Notions folder, I have, because there's several of the DMCs that you need more than one of in this project, so I put the extras there. And then on this side, I've got my pack of needles, I've got my scissors behind there, and then here's my fancy floss. I'm going to be using Really Tealy by Classic Colorworks. I do believe that's the called for. I just switched up a few, but I'm going to use Really Tealy. You had to have 2 of those, Really Tealy. And I pulled this black coffee. I'm not sure I'm going to use it, but I pulled it. And then for the red, I'm thinking in the red, it called for Cherry Cobbler and Turkish red. But I pulled the Turkish red. Now, my personal opinion, now remember when I say the word personal opinion, everybody's got an opinion, you know. But I am just finding that this week's Dye Works brand of Fancy Floss seems like it has more variegation in it than the classic Color Works. And it could just be the ones I have. I don't know. See, I don't have a local needlework shop, so I have to buy my floss and my Fancy Floss online. I can only get the DMC locally, like at Hobby Lobby and Michael's. But if I want to buy any kind of fancy floss, I have to buy it online because that's the only access I have. So sometimes it would be nice if I could walk into a needlework shop and be able to hand pick. So I knew for sure by looking at it that it has a lot of variegation in it. You know, the reason why you use Fancy Floss is for the variegation. So if you're not going to achieve that, then I feel like I might as well just use DMC. So, but I just have found recently in the last couple projects, and I'm going to show you these projects that I'm talking about. I've just found that the week's Dye Works seemed like it had more variegation. Now, I could be wrong, and the next group of, you know, week's Dye Works I get or Classic Color Works I get, it may be totally opposite than what I'm saying here today. But tell me what you guys think. Are you finding that? I don't know, you know, these fancy flosses are expensive, and you want to make sure that you're achieving that variegated look that for the reason why you're using it. So you guys tell me, because apparently I have no idea what I'm doing, which is okay. You know, I'm learning a little bit as I go. But I did pick those because they do seem like they have variegation. Now this Really Tealy, which is a Classic Color Works, it has some variegation. You can see it, but it's not super strong, but I think it'll be okay. I love that color, and they used it in the pattern, so I decided to go ahead with it. And I usually pick my Fancy Floss by how much is going to show. If it's just like a couple of stitches, I don't get the Fancy Floss. I use the DMC equivalent because you're not going to see any variegation. You might as well use the 53-cent DMC floss, or from your stash even, than buy a $2.50, $2.60 skein of Fancy Floss. That's just my opinion. But and my sister Lisa, she hardly uses it at all because she doesn't like not getting the variegation. So she's finding that she tends to stick with, you know, mostly DMC. But I kind of use a little bit of both. So you guys tell me what you think, and let's compare notes, because I'm still learning. Even though I've been cross-stitching for a long time now. I mean, I cross-stitched before, and then I, you know, stepped away from it for a little while, and I've been back at it for about 4 or 5 years now. And I'm learning more and more because there's a lot more new product out and whatnot, and I need your guys' help. So, and another thing that I need your help on is I love using this Vintage Country Mocha. And this is 32 count that I'm going to use for this Welcome to the North Pole. But I am looking and searching for 28 count Vintage Country Mocha, and I cannot find it anywhere. If anybody knows of a source where I can get 28 count Vintage Country Mocha, please comment down below, because I have been looking for quite some time, and I'm kind of having a hard time finding it. So if anybody knows of a source, let me know. So that's my kitted up projects. I have got the Project Notions folder in the Minty Snowman with the matching DMC floss keeper in the Minty Snowman. And then I've got them, both of those fit inside my big, large project bag along with my fabric. I can put my hoop in there. I can put my pattern in there. And I could get more in there if I wanted to. And I zip it all up, and it's super cute. And I know when I look at that, this is Welcome to the North Pole. So I'm all set for my next project. I think I'm going to wait and try to finish up some of this other stuff I'm going to show you that I'm working on right now. Or at least get closer to finishing before I start this one. because I consider this a larger project, so I don't mind, you know, adding like a small little ornament type of project in between, you know, while I'm working on some of my bigger stuff, because it gives you instant gratification, and so it's nice to do that. But this one is going to be a good size one, so I think I'll wait until I get a little bit more done on the ones that I'm working on right now. So that one is Welcome to the North Pole, and I can't wait to start that one. I just love Primrose Cottage Stitches cross stitch projects. I just love their stuff. They're such a sweet family. I love watching their videos. So little shout out for Lindsay and her sisters. I love those gals, and their mom Nettie. Oh my gosh, they're so sweet. I can't stand it. Okay, let's move on. Now the next one, let's see. Oh, the next thing I'm going to talk to you about is the quilt behind me. And that quilt is my take on a Christmas postage stamp. Excuse me, let me repeat that. Christmas postage stamp quilt. I made this quilt. It's a good size lap quilt. And it's just it's a flimsy, which means it's just the top. Okay, I haven't quilted it yet. I just made the top. It's one of my, I call it one of my pandemic quilts. And one of these days I'm going to make a video of all the quilt tops I made during the pandemic. There's a lot. It's crazy. Well, you know, we're all stuck at home, so what is Kathleen supposed to do but besides make a quilt top, you know? So I just made a bunch of them. So anyway, this is one of them, Christmas postage stamp. And it's made using the Me and My Sister fabric line called Merry and Bright. And Me and My Sister is one of my favorite designers. They work for Moda, and this is a couple years old. I think this line is like a 2020, maybe 2021, but actually all the color is from one layer cake, and then I used a background fabric, a couple yards of background fabric, and that's all the white. And I used all of the layer cake to make this quilt. So each of the squares is finished at 2 inches, where normal postage stamp quilts are like finished at 1 inch. I like to quilt. I don't necessarily have to be insane to do it, you know, so I felt like I wanted to achieve the look, but I didn't necessarily want to work with those little teeny tiny pieces because I didn't think it was, you know, important for me to be crazy while I was doing it. So I ended up using 2.5 inch cuts. I made strips. I cut strips, 2.5 inch strips for my 10 inch layer cake. And then I did the same thing with my yardage. I just cut 2.5 inch strips, and I made a bunch of like units, you know, what would be 2.5 by 10. And then I subcut them up and mix and matched them up, and, you know, just made, you know, blocks that were, it was like, you know, you didn't put a whole lot of thought into it. It's kind of like a grab bag. So I really like the way it turned out. It's a really bright reds and greens, Christmas reds and greens, and I love everything that Me and My Sister comes out with. So every line that they release, I gotta get. I know, it's a sickness. What can you say? So anyways, that's a quilt. I've got to quilt it now. I'm thinking about quilting it diagonally through the white sections from corner to corner, both directions. And that's what I'm thinking, but, you know, check back and see what I come up with. Who knows? So that is the quilt project that I've got. Now let's move on to my cross stitch projects. Everybody's here for the cross stitch projects, right? Okay, let's talk about my whips first. My whips are ones that I'm working on now. And the first one, I just have 2 of them ongoing right now because I haven't started that Welcome to the North Pole. The first one is my little Lizzie Kate, Here Comes Santa. Is it called Here Comes Santa? No, Here Comes Santa Claus. I don't know why I keep calling it Here Comes Santa. This is an older one. It's 2005. Love Lizzie Kate. Who doesn't love Lizzie Kate? I got this pattern from 123 Stitch. And I did it a little bit different. As you can see, they stitched it like on a taupe or what have you. I decided to stitch mine on 16 count black Cosmo Ada. let me get a board here, people. And so I can show it to you on a board. It makes more sense. You can see it better. You're not looking through the fabric. So this is how far I've gotten so far. I love it on this black. Oh my gosh, guys. I'm using most of the called for DMC floss. I think I changed the color of the ice skates, the blades on the ice skates. I had to go with a different color. And it calls for Whisper. It's the white in the beard and the white in the ball of the hat is supposed to be, you're supposed to be using Whisper, but I didn't have that. So I'm just using regular white thread, white DMC, B5200 I'm using. So it's really bright, but I love it on the black. Now I'm down to these words here. It's supposed to say, here comes Santa Claus, okay? And then I got to do a little bit of back stitching for his beard. He's got like a little like lines on his mustache, and then there's some little like ties on the ice skate boots. So I'm almost done with it. This was a fast stitch. Like I said, I'm stitching this on the 16 count Black Cosmo, and I just started it a couple of days ago. I cannot put it down. You just get such immediate gratification from it because you see so much progress quickly because you can really, really move fast on it. So I'm real happy with it so far. And I've got it, like I said, I have it kitted up in my matching Project Notions folder with the matching floss bobbin keeper. And I put all my flosses in there. These are flosses for 2 different projects, so not just from Here Comes Santa Claus. So I got my floss in there, and then in here I have, you know, like my scissors, and here's the other project that I'm going to do a perforated paper project in there. You can get several projects in these floss bobbin, or the both the floss bobbin keeper and the Project Notions folder. This is the gingerbread one that I have. I just love these guys. And this is all you have. And then, like I said, I keep my hoops in that drawer next to my stitchy chair, and then I just grab what I need. And I can take my fabric that I'm working on, and I just kind of fold it a little bit lightly. Let me show you how you do that. I fold it lightly, and then I stick it inside here, and then close the whole thing up and snap it shut so that it's secure in there. So the smaller project, like the ornaments, or this isn't going to be an ornament. It's going to end up being like 4.5 by 4.5 finished. So I'm going to mount it on, you know, something that's going to be like a freestanding type of thing. It's not going to be an ornament, because once I do a fabric backer and all that, you know, it's going to be way too big for an ornament. I was thinking about restitching it and stitching it on something small, like 25 count. I don't know if my old lady eyes can handle it, but we'll see. But that's why, you know, these Project Notions folders are perfect for those smaller projects. And I have everything I need, all where I need it to be, and I'm ready to go. So that's one of my whips. I'm almost done with that. And like I said, I just started it like last Friday, and it's Tuesday, and I'm almost done. I probably have maybe another hour of stitching on it. And I spent more time, let me show you that. I spent more time trying to figure out which color thread I was going to use for the words. Here Comes Santa Claus. It was stitched in the green on the pattern. Let me show you let me see. What did I do with the pattern? Oh, here it is. Here it is. See, you can see that they used green because it was stitched on like a taupe color, and I changed it to the lighter of the reds that's in his coat. Okay, so I spent more time agonizing over that than I did actual stitching. I mean, it was like, and I think I even stitched it in the darker red first. The first letter, I did like the H, and I didn't like the way it looked, so I pulled it out. I know. Gives you something to talk about, right? So anyway, that one is a quick stitch. I can't wait to finish that one. I just love Lizzie K's little projects like this because you can get so much done in such a little amount of time. But I always have larger projects going, and that's why I like to do these little ones, because I can kind of like sneak these in and I get something actually done. So the next project, which is one of my whips, I just started it. I showed you that I had kitted it up a couple of videos ago, and it's called Kringles by Little House Needleworks, and it's the department store. Kringles. I love this pattern. It's very, very cute. And I started it a couple of weeks ago, and here's where I'm at. I've got the top part of the house, or well, I guess it's a department store. I've got the top part done. Okay, got the roof done. I'll tell you, here's my advice. Do the roof first, because it is no joke, okay? I kind of look at it this way. I did the roof first. I wanted to get it completed all the way across, and then framing these the window units. And then here's where I think it's going to be the fun part, is doing the little sections. Let me show you. The little sections of each room. Look at how cute those are. They're so detailed with the trees and the toys and all that stuff. Is just fabulous. So I can't wait to start stitching that. I'm stitching mine on 28 count Vintage Stormy Night. I love this fabric. I'm stitching 2/2, and I'm using a combination of DMC and fancy floss. Now, there was when let me explain what happened, because everybody wants to know about, you're not perfect, right? No. Okay. All right, the top of the roof, see how it's two colors of the roof to make that tile look? The darker color is black coffee. And when you look at the picture online, when you look at the picture of the actual pattern, and you look at people's pictures online, when they show what their progression is, it looks really, really dark, like 310 black dark. And it is not. It is not. It's kind of like a charcoaly, weird, and they call for it not only in the roof, but they have you're supposed to stitch it in these windows, and then you will stitch it using it. Here, let me put this over here. You will use it on the Kringle sign behind the word Kringle, and you will also use it on the next level up right here where that banner is. Okay? But I'll tell you, I did not like the way that black coffee looked. It wasn't dark enough for me compared to the image that I was seeing on the pattern picture, okay? So I used the black coffee on this roof part where it's two colored tile, but then I used 310 black here, and I'm gonna use 310 black behind the banner that goes here, and I'm gonna use 310 black behind the word Kringles, and I'm going to use the 310 black on this, what would be wrought iron, and on that the double door there in the middle. I'm going to use 310 black because I want it to be a rich color. I don't want it to look faded, gray, dark gray. And that's the look I'm getting with my black coffee, and I was just disappointed. And that's just me, some people like it, and it's the way to go. So I'm only going to use it on the roof because I like the way it looked for the roof, for that two color tile on the rooftop. But I'm going to use the 310 black everywhere else. Now, I did use in the tile, let me show you again. I used the Campfire Classic Colorworks. This was the Black Coffee Classic Colorworks. This is Campfire Classic Colorworks. And it's a variegated thread. And there is no variegation in this thread. I've got 3 skeins of it. So it cost me like, $250, $265 a skein. I've got 3 skeins of it because you need 3. And I don't see any variegation in it at all. I would have gotten the same look with a DMC, and I think it's like 918 or something like that. It was one of the numbers that I should have just used it. I really should have. But that's just me. Maybe your campfire, you know, like I said, I don't get to go to an LNS. I had to order mine online. Maybe your campfire has more variegation. And I hear a lot of people say that. So make that judgment call for yourself. But if I was doing this over again, I probably would do all DMC, period. Yeah. So, but that's just me. You know, I mean, everybody's got their different thoughts on the threads and stuff. So what I did was I organized mine all in my Santa bag because it's Kringles. This is how I used to make my bags before I started doing them patchwork. And let me show you what I have in my bag. I ended up making, I have this little floss. This is like my floss keeper thing, okay? It's just a little flat thing. I use that. And then I have all my DMC flosses in my matching floss bobbin keeper. Excuse me. So that's really cute. Okay. And then I have, because I use it called for a lot of the fancy floss, so I made one of these little zipper spool cases, and I keep my fancy floss in it. It's quilted in the back. And I have some of those clips on there. Keep those clips there because sometimes I have to roll that excess fabric that I was telling you about earlier, and then I clip them with these green clips, okay? And I have my scissors in there and some extra needles. Ask me how many needles I lost during working on this project. My husband's about ready to kill me. So I just keep losing needles. I don't know what. So I have extra needles. Now, one thing I did want to tell you was, and I before I forget, I'm losing my train of thought here. And then I keep all these things, okay, in, along with my large hoop is in there, in this project bag. I made these. I don't make these to sell anymore. I just make them for me and my daughter-in-law, but I don't sell them because I had tons of them in my shop back a couple years ago. I couldn't sell them. You know, it was just ridiculous. So I ended up just keeping them for myself. So I changed the way I made them. I do the patchwork now, and everybody loves them. So who knows? But one thing I wanted to tell you, just to let you know that I'm not perfect. When I was stitching this guy, okay, and I started getting down, ask me how many times I had to tear this column out because I made a mistake. And I didn't even realize it until I was getting ready to do this side. And I thought, oh my gosh, that isn't like a pat, it's like different all the way, you know, the grout part of it was different. So I had to tear that all out, and then I put it back in, and then it's all on my Instagram. So, you know, the frog came to visit Kathleen, but you know, it's life. So I tore that all out, put it back in. Then I did these two columns. Then I went back over here and realized I had made a mistake over there also. So I had to tear that all out. And then I restitched it. And after I restitched it, I realized I had stitched it wrong again. So I had to rip it all out again. Now, you would think the story ends here, but it does not. I had to rip it out a third time because apparently Kathleen does not know what she's doing. But you know, it's all fun and games until the frog comes to visit. You know what I'm saying? So, but it does look good now. I'm at that point. That's why I stopped here and I went to work on that Here Comes Santa, because I was more than slightly frustrated after I had done all that ripping out and stitching it back in, that I needed something to give me some instant gratification. So that's what I did. And I'm going to go back to it. I'm going to persevere and do this one until it's finished. But I did want to let you know that the frog did come to visit, and I did have to tear a lot of it out and restitch it and then tear it out again, and then, you know, yada, yada, yada. But there it is, Kringles. First top half. Well, actually, it's the top third. So that's where I'm at with that one. Those are my two whips right now. Now, I'm going to show you my finishes. They're cross stitches that I have finished, but not FFO'd. They're just you know, they're flimsy finishes, which means they haven't been finished into an FFO. And the first one is, I finished all three. Let me get my, oh geez, oh Pete. Okay, hold on please. Let me get the booklet thing, or the backdrop. I did 3 different ones from Stitching with the Housewives. I did Bringing Home the Tree, okay, and then I did Farm Fresh Balsam, and then I did Fraser Fir Farm, okay, and I stitched this one twice, and I'll show you what I did. Okay, now here's my flimsies, which means they're not been finished. And remember from my last video when I talked about this, I had not finished this one. I had these 2 done and I had not finished this one. So I finished this one and I said I was gonna make one of this one. I made this one twice. I was gonna do this one in an ornament and then take these 3 and make it into the wall hanging thing on the wooden background that Java Girl, Christy from Java Girl Stitches did. But when you see what I did with that ornament, you're gonna know why I've decided I'm gonna do all these 3 in ornaments instead of my thought with what Java Girl. I may stitch this whole thing again and do it just like Java Girl, but I'm gonna make these into ornaments because I like the way the ornament turned out that I actually made. So I got these 3 stitches. They're all done. They're all stitched on the 16 count black Cosmo. And I got that from Fat Quarter Shop. I love this 16 count black Cosmo because it's a really rich black. And I use a magnifier light, and that's how I'm able to stitch it with no problem. So, and I did use the Called for Floss on those. So I got those 3 done. And then what I did was so that's one of my finishes. Or well, actually it's 3. And then the next one I did was, I did a tiny modernist. It's called Mouse's Halloween Stitching. Isn't that adorable? I made some modifications I'll tell you about in a minute. Okay, here it is. I stitched it on 18 count vintage country mocha. 2 threads over 1. Excuse me. And the changes I did was, I see where it has that little, on the bottom left is the little cobweb. I eliminated that altogether. I stitched it in there. It's supposed to be by the spool. I stitched it in and I tore it out. I just didn't like the way it looked. So I haven't decided if I'll put something there when I go to, you know, fully finish it, or if I'll just leave it, because if you look at it, that corner and this corner are the same. They have that empty space. So I may just leave it. I have an idea for how I'm going to finish it, but we'll see how it works out. I may end up stitching this one again because I loved it. I mean, I stitched it really quick. I love the variegation in the orange thread, and in that gray, I used the Call for colors, which were, let me see, it called for, it was all Weeks Dye Works. And that's what made me start thinking that Weeks Dye Works was more variegated, because look at the variegation in that. I just love it. So that's a finish, and I'm going to FFO that. I wanted to get it done before so I could put it out with my fall decorations. I just love that little mouse. She's so cute. Okay, now let's see, what else did I do? Let me check my notes. One moment, please. I got the Fraser Fir Farm. Okay, I think that's it. Those are all the finishes that I did that are not fully finished. Now I have some fully finished items. Now, before I go into this fully finished items things, let me tell you that The reason why I've gotten into the whole fully finished thing is because my sister Lisa, she keeps picking on me that I have all these things finished, you know, the cross stitch part, and I don't do anything with them. They're just hanging in my closet. You know, they're like flimsies that are going nowhere. And so she's always talking, are you going to finish those things? Are you going to finish? What are you going to make with that? What are you going to make with that? She was driving me insane. And you know, when your sister prods you and pokes at you, you've got to do something about it. So that's what I did. I went ahead and I started fully finishing some of my items. The first item I did, and that's why I'm going to show you this Priscilla and Chelsea's Stitching with the Housewives, is that Fraser Fur Farm. This is the second time I stitched this, okay? And I made it into an ornament. And OMG, I love it bunches. It's so cute. I can't stand it. Okay. Stitched on the 16 count black Cosmo. I double mounted it on sticky board. This fabric is like a red and black and white plaid. And I do believe that's from one of the Christmas fabric lines that I bought. It's back, I talked about it in one of my videos earlier. I think it was last year I bought that fabric. But you can buy these plaids, you know, every year. It's just a different one, you know, but I mean, you know, you can find some kind of plaid that will go good. And this ribbon, I do believe I got the ribbon from Hobby Lobby. It's wired, so it's kind of stiff. And I used Nicole Spore's bow tutorial because she is fabulous. If you have not watched her videos, go over to Nicole Spore LLC on YouTube. This girl knows her stuff. So I take lessons from people who know what they're doing. So anywho, I made her bow basically, okay? And I attached this little jingle bell and the little curly Q that I got from Hobby Lobby. All that came from Hobby Lobby. And then along between the two mounts, I used a piece of glittery silver cording. I just glued that with Aleene's glue on there, okay? And then on the back side, I used that black stiffy felt, just like I used on all my embroidered ornaments. Love that. And then I just stuck my little label there, okay? I'm looking to see if it's focusing. Okay. So see how cute that is? That's why I'm gonna make those other three from Stitching with the Housewives. I'm gonna do those all into ornaments because this is so darn cute. I can't stand it. So you guys tell me what you think. But that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and make those all in the same. I'm gonna do the same mounting, the same fabric, the same bow, the same ribbon, the whole thing. They're gonna all match. So I'm gonna do those. Now, the next thing that I did was I stitched Home of the Free by Primrose Cottage Stitches. I've been wanting to stitch this since I seen it the first time when Lindsay and her sisters put it out on their YouTube video. I was gonna make mine in a pillow, but after I got it stitched, changed my mind. So that's the pattern. And here's what I ended up doing with it. Oh my gosh, this frame could not be more perfect for this cute stitch. I stitched on 28 count Vintage Stormy Night. I used all the called for threads, with an exception. I do believe I used Wavy Navy for the dark blue, and I used a different blue. If you need to know exactly what colors I used a little bit different blue for this, for the lighter blue, and then for the word free in there. It was a variegated. And then I used the Louisiana hot sauce for the red and the B5200 for the white. And I used batting behind the, a piece of batting behind the stitching to give it a little bit of poof. And I mounted on sticky board, and then I mounted this plaid red, white, and blue fabric because it had all the colors that were in these threads was in this fabric, and it's a plaid, so it's a double mount. And then I glued the whole thing onto this wooden frame, and it's from Hobby Lobby. It's a table decor, and I got it half off, so I only paid $4 for it. And this is good size. It's like 5 by 7. Okay, and it's got this wooden beaded, I didn't paint it or anything, it came this way, and it had some kind of words on it behind all of this. But what I did was I measured from the edge of the bead to the edge of the bead, and that was the size, because I wanted this plaid fabric mount to fill that area and then set this stitch on top of it, so it looks like this is actually framing it. But I just love the way this turned out. And then I just set it on a little easel because it doesn't have a, it has a wall hanging thing. It doesn't, so I have it on an easel at my sink in the kitchen. And I just love it. I just love it. What do you guys think? So like I said, I'm going to stitch this again. I'm just trying to find something else I can mount it on just like this, and I think I might stitch it again because I think it would make a great gift. It stitched fast. It really did. It was a fast stitch. So check out Home of the Free Primrose Cottage Stitches. You'll love that one. I really enjoyed it. Now the next one I did was Heart in Hand Holiday Home. Needed to do, I just, when I seen that little round, I decided that I wanted to do an ornament out of it. And I found this little ornament, or this little thing. It's actually a coaster over at Hobby Lobby in the discounted section. And so I bought it, brought it home, and this is what I did. I just mounted it on there. Now, here's what I did. This is you see it's cork on the back side. So it's actually supposed to be a coaster, okay? I stitched the design on 32 count vintage country mocha, okay? All called for colors, all right? Now, I don't know if anybody else has stitched this, but the pattern, if you look at the A on the word holiday, see how it's got like an empty spot in the middle of the A? The pattern shows it like it's stitched that way on the picture, but in the pattern, it shows that you stitch it in red. And I did, and then I realized I didn't like it. I wanted it to be like the picture in the thing, so I took it out. That little stitch that's in the middle of that A, I took it out. I don't know if it's a mistake or if it's just like do it either way, or I don't know, it didn't really say. So I just kind of went with my own instinct, what I liked. So this is, if you look and you see how nicely round my ornament piece is, the stitched part, let me tell you how I did it. They have these round plastic, clear plastic, they have like a film on it. You take the film off. They're called ornament rounds, I think, and they have a hole in them. And they're in the back section of Hobby Lobby at Christmas time. They're in their Christmas little crafty section, you know what I'm talking about, in the back of the store. And it was the perfect size for this ornament, or for this coaster thing. So I took it and I put a piece of warm and natural batting behind the stitch part, and then I gathered it all the way around on the stitch part, and then put that plastic thing in there and cinched it up. So it was a perfect, it's nice and soft round edges and not all hokey because I had to cut it, because I didn't cut it. I used that plastic thing. And they were really inexpensive. I was thinking I got like 6 of them in that pack for like, and they were half off when I bought them last year. And I'm sure they'll have them again this year. I think I've already seen them. So it'll be like, you know, like $1.50 or something for like 6 of them. It's worth it not having to cut that circle out with your scissors onto cart, or either, well, not cardstock, it would be the sticky board. So I didn't use any sticky board here. That mount fit on this coaster, and they still have these coasters, even though I got mine on sale. They have these coasters in the store, so wait for them to go half off and get them. They're coming like a 4-pack. You can make great ornaments out of them. And then this is just like it's a fuzzy trim, and I just glued it in there. because I wanted it. My plan was to do a double mount with fabric on another round thing, but it was there wasn't enough room. So I wanted some red to show. So I just used some of that red fuzzy. It was like some kind of trim, and I think I bought it. I either got it at Walmart or I might have got it at Hobby Lobby. I can't remember. It was one or the other, but I mean, it was really inexpensive. So, and it came like in a pack of, you know, like a yard or something. But so check that out. I mean, this stuff always changes year to year during the season. So, and then I just hot glued a piece of red and white twine, baker's twine, on the back for the hanger. And then I just put my label on the back side. So, isn't that cute though? I just love it. Oh my gosh. And it was really simple. However, when I was making this ornament, I was talking to my sister on the phone. It looked like a bomb went off in my studio because I had everything out. I didn't know what I was going to do. I came up with this. Meanwhile, I had everything out, all my little supplies that I've been hoarding and collecting all, you know, over the past couple years. And it looked like a bomb went off in my studio. It took me longer to clean the thing up than to actually make this ornament. So I'm telling you, crafting is hard sometimes. So anyway, on to the next one. The next one that I fully finished was my absolute favorite. I did not plan it this way, okay? It is Teresa Kogut. Now, first of all, who doesn't love Teresa Kogut, okay? Like, really, seriously, I love everything this woman does. Okay. Teresa Kogut's pattern called Creepin' Jack. I did this one right here. I showed it to you that I had finished the stitching part a couple videos ago. So that one was Creepin' Jack. Oh my gosh. I love her vintagey looking, you know, stitches. I just love all of Teresa Kogut's patterns. I love all her fabric. Oh my gosh. I wish she was my sister. Okay? She doesn't know me from Adam's House Cat, but you know, whatever. So anyway, I did Creepin' Jack. And OMG, I just love this one. Okay. I took Creepin' Jack and I put them on this wooden door that I got from Michael's. My husband painted it black. It was like, you know, plain. It was plain and it needed painted or whatever. And then he kind of distressed it a little bit. So, but it's like a little door, okay? I double mounted. First of all, I stitched it on 28 count Vintage Stormy Night, okay? All the called for colors. And then, and if you can see in the design, her design is just the guy with his hand out, okay? But I felt like he needed a little bucket for trick-or-treating, right? Because he's Creepin' Jack. Okay. This is a covered button, and I used Teresa Kogut's Halloween Whimsy, one of her fabric lines. It had this image in it, and so I made a covered button out of it. And then I glued that covered button on, and then I added this thread to make it look like he was carrying a bucket, because that's exactly what it looks like. It looks like one of those Halloween buckets that the kids carry at Halloween, you know, for their trick-or-treating. I'm telling you, I'm so proud of myself. Once again, my studio looked like a bomb went off in it when I got done making this thing. And my sister is like laughing her head off because she's like, what are you doing? I'm being creative. That's what I always make it a holy mess. So anyway, I mounted it. This stripe fabric is also Teresa Kogut's from Halloween Whimsy. Okay. And then I used Lori Holt's vintage Rick Rack, and that's the orange, that like a burnt orange color. It was perfect because it matched everything in Teresa's fabric. And then this little sign here came in a 3-pack of little wooden signs. And I know that they say that Hobby Lobby doesn't sell Halloween. Well, back 150 years ago, they used to. Probably about 4 or 5 years ago, they did, because that's where this came from. And it came in like in a 3-pack. There's one that says boo and one that says something else. And it looks like a little tombstone. So I took the little, it had like a little, like twine. It was like a little ornament or something. And I took that off and then just mounted it right onto the board, trick or treat. But is that the cutest? And then I mounted the whole thing. It's permanent. I made it a permanent thing. I'm not going to change it out. I just love it so much. You guys tell me what you think. So I got to combine, what I'm most proud of is the fact that I combined Teresa Kogut's cross-stitch design and then combined it with her fabric to make this really super cute Halloween decoration. So what do you guys think? This one's my favorite. I'm hoping you guys like it too, and it inspires you to maybe do something like this. I just love it. And you know what? Don't be afraid to do these little covered buttons. They're easy, easy peasy. I was trying to tell my sister how to do it over the phone, and I think I'm just gonna have to do hers for her, you know, because I think I was confusing her trying to explain it. But so you guys tell me what you think in the comments down below. I just love it. Okay, so I wanted to now I'm just going to show you the couple little things that I got for haul, and the one was all the stuff that I had showed you a couple minutes ago for my Primrose Cottage. I bought, that was part of my haul. I bought all of, I got this upside down here, people. It's a long video. I bought all the stuff I needed for the Welcome to the North Pole. Kitted it up, all set, fabric, thread, you know, made special bags for it. I'm all set. And the other thing that I bought, let me move this thing so I don't run it over with my chair. The other thing I bought was the new Me and My Sister fabric line, and it's called Reindeer Games, and it matches the other fabric line that I used for the quilt behind me, as you can see. This is a half-yard bundle, okay? See? Look how pretty it is. I'm telling you, Me and My Sister, you cannot go wrong with their fabric lines for Moda. And I don't know what I'm gonna make with it, but yes, I have compulsively washed, ironed, pressed, and folded, and organized it all by color, because I'm a little OCD. And I think I might make some project bags out of some of these kind, this style. I'll make a few of those. So if you guys are interested in any of those, let me know. I just love this. Now, because I bought the half-yard bundle, I went ahead and got 6 yards of this dot background fabric, because I didn't do it when I bought that one, and I was so disappointed that I didn't. And so I talked to Minju from Honey Quilts on Etsy, where I get all my most of my fabrics, and she said, yeah, she said, you better order, you know. I went ahead and pre-ordered it. I pre-ordered this in the 6 yard, so I have a lot. You know, it's such a basic that you cannot go wrong having it in your stash. So I can use it for the linings of project bags. I can use it for the background of a quilt, or, you know, in the, like where I use Lala Batique's dot for the background here. I can use it like that. There's just lots of ways to use it. So it's a great basic to have in your stash. So I went ahead and got 6 yards. But you also got to remember, I'm a quilter. So, you know, 6 yards might sound like a lot to people. To me, I'd rather have a bolt. So 6 yards is a compromise to me. Okay? Bear with me. Okay. Now, I did also want to show you, I forgot, when I was showing you that quilt by the Miriam Bright, I used one of these, you know, I had told you I had used one of these 10-inch layer cakes. That's what I used for all the color in here. And I had bought 2 of them from Minju a couple years ago, and I did not buy the background fabric. And if you look through here, let me see if I can find it. The background fabric is a dot here. Actually, it's a dot. It's just a little bit different. See it? It's a little bit, see this one here, the new one for the new line. Look at how much smaller it is, okay? So that's the one I probably should have bought when I bought this a couple years ago, but I didn't, and I learned a lesson. So, but I still have one more 10-inch layer cake. Not sure what I'm gonna do with this. I might make project bags out of this too, because this basic that I bought, the 6 yards of, will go with this too. That's what I like about when you stay inside a designer's fabric lines. They tend to match each other, like Lila Batiks, her Christmas Eve and her Christmas morning, they match each other. Fig Tree, JoAnn Figueroa, her lines, her Harvest Moon, her All Hallows Eve, all of those lines all correspond with each other, and they, you know, you mix and match them. So that's why I get, like, from year to year, whatever she introduces, because they all go together. So, and the same thing with me and my sister. She does the same thing. So check that out. You know, when you find a designer that you like, always know that she will probably do a sister collection the following year, more than likely. Not always, but more than likely. So check that out. I mean, that's, you know, a little, like, learn a lesson about fabric buying. Now, that's it for today, guys. I know it's a long video. I'm really sorry. We're almost at 2 hours. That's ridiculous. So I'm really sorry, but I wanted to show you guys all this stuff because this is all the stuff, like, hot off my machine. But I hope that today's program inspired you in some way to either get your quilting machine out, your sewing machine out, your cross stitch, just your fabric, you know, get started working on something, or maybe go back to something you've already been working on and just have fun with it. And let me know what you guys are working on, and come back and see me here. See me over there at the Instagram. Give me a thumbs up, please, so that more people will watch my videos. And we'll see you back here at the Quilted Story next time. Thanks a lot. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.